So, I've been told that you want to know why pandas are God's mistake. Um, yeah, so first of all, I would like you to think of an animal that is so incapable of feeding itself on its only food source. Because remember, pandas apparently only eat bamboo. They don't, but they only eat bamboo. That's their sustainable thing. That's what they're given in zoos, etc. Right? In order to eat that only thing that they are able to eat, they have had to evolve what is called a pseudo thumb. Now, I get what, pseudo thumb sounds really cool. Oh, an extra thumb. Oh, they must be super dexterous. No, because at the end of the day, they are a bear that eats grass. You know what bears have? Shovel hands. Okay? They have fused digits that basically make their whole hands into big, powerful shovels that are great for smacking down and killing things, digging up stuff. Absolutely great. Terrible at manipulating strands of grass and bamboo. So the first panda apparently must have just broken arms, and because this bone spur, which is what they use, it's called a pseudo thumb, but it's basically just a bone spur that comes off their radius, their wrist, comes off their radial bone. They have to position the bamboo, between these bone spurs and their mouth. And I say go Google pandas eating, because they take a lot of tries and misses. And this is an animal who spent its entire life, its entire evolved purpose is to eat bamboo, and it is absolutely terrible at it. If that's not enough, so my main reason for disliking pandas is that they are a ridiculous animal, but it's kind of really compounded by the fact that if I told you, oh, there's a ridiculous animal. So, for example, did you know that mosquitoes, according to a lot of detailed research, no one's been able to find an ecological niche? Well, for a certain definition of the word ecological niche, they've not been able to find their ecological niche. In this terms, meaning if you were to wipe out mosquitoes entirely, there would be no, onward effects on the rest of the environment. So this is normally one of those things where you say a creature has a large ecological niche when wiping it out would devastate everything else. So sharks, plankton, like all of these things, you take them out of the food chain, stuff starts to cascade. Mosquitoes do not, right? Pandas, similarly, are just terrible. So their ecological niche is that they kill everything else that has that eats bamboo. So they are actively preventing things from eating bamboo. Because they can't eat it, because they're terrible at it. They have to eat a lot of it, and as we've talked about, very bad at getting it in their mouths. Anyway, if you were to say, oh, I hate mosquitoes, they're terribly evolved, wipe them all out, people would be like, yeah, I can see that. By the way, mosquitoes, wonderfully evolved. They have really good life cycles. They're basically flying syringes. Chef's kiss. Love that animal. We don't love them. They're terrible, as I said. But from an evolutionary point of view, I can see where something was going on. But pandas get millions and millions spent on them in active, contained breeding programs, which again, if their ecological niche is to protect bamboo, because apparently someone needs to do that because no one told pandas that it grows at a centimeter a day. No one needs to protect bamboo. It grows everywhere. It's a great product. Anyway, even if they are, you are now having to captively breed them. None of them are getting put back into the wild because they can't breed in the wild because pandas don't want to live. They just don't. They know it. We don't, apparently. So we just spend more and more money because Apparently, the idea of anything dying on our current watch, despite the fact that we wipe out millions of species all the time, don't bat an eyelid. But the fact that pandas might be our fault drives us insane. And we just really dig into this idea that we need to force this animal to keep breeding and keep producing, once again, a bear that eats grass. It is not a happy animal. It spends most of its time trying to get the food in its mouth. There are actual versions of biblical hell where hell is described as trying to feed yourself with meter-long chopsticks. I would argue that the panda is that, all right? They are karmic people reborn in this hell of trying to get something in their mouth. And most of the time having to smash any other animal that just tries to eat tries to eat bamboo, to shovel that into their mouth because it's way more energy for them. Because again, they are bears that eat bamboo. There is not enough energy in it for them, and they know it. That's why they look tired. That's why they've got massive rings under their eyes. It's not. But also, panda, who designed their camouflage? They're black and white, for God's sakes. Like, no one's camouflaged by that. They're just walking advertisements of their own mistake of evolution. They're just wrong. They're just wrong. And the more I dig down on this topic, like, a lot of times in my life, I've made outlandish statements and I've gone, well, okay, looking into that, I've had to dig back. Pandas are not. Every time I look up a new panda fact, I'm like, pandas are fucking garbage, useless animals. There is no reason to keep breeding them. Why keep breeding them? What do you want pandas for? If you want black and white fur, it's everywhere, okay? Dye something. If you want to preserve the ecological niche, we've already talked about that. You're not doing that by actively breeding them in captivity. Even if you one day release them, there are things that eat bamboo better. Bamboo doesn't need our help. It's classic meddling of confused, but why? But it's the world, the World Wildlife Foundation use it as their logo. Like, so many places use it as their logo. So many things. Why? Why? There are better animals for this. I would accept a mosquito as your fucking avatar, okay? That would at least make me think, okay, well, this is an animal with a purpose. Its purpose is to kill people, but at least it has one. I cannot describe. I'm trying to think of any more things, because again, every time I Google panda facts, there are more things that I'm like, why pandas? Just give up. Oh yeah, because they crush. Oh, that's it. When they have breeded, they've actually managed to produce live young, which is somehow hard for them. The one thing that we put it right at the beginning of defining a living creature you can reproduce. No, they find it incredibly hard. Then again, humans, by the way, very bad at reproducing, but we do it quite often, so we're fine. Anyway, sorry. So pandas, they crush. They like 1 out of every, I think it's 6 or 5 panda cubs are crushed by their mother, right? Like, they only produce 1 every 20 years, and they will crush them. Panda keepers have to keep moving the panda out of the way because their mother will crush them just by accident, because again, they're a bear that eats grass, okay? Koalas might be high all day and have several strains of chlamydia, but pandas beat that. They are an animal that actively eats health food for the entire day, and they can't get energy to get up when they have crushed their own young. This is not an animal that wants to live. It's not. Please stop. Just stop, okay? I am terrified that one day we will be able to talk to animals, and I'm deeply terrified that I'll have to explain, like, oh, what about the industrial meat complex and all of this? I don't want to do that, but I would volunteer to talk to pandas because I would tell them how it is. And I think looking into their beady little eyes, which again, Our bare eyes, so not even that well evolved for being in a forest. Okay, I'm on 10 minutes now. I'm getting the signs from Sophie. Okay. I hope you enjoy this message and take from this that if you see a panda in the wild, punch it. No, don't punch it. That's cruel. Euthanize it. Euthanize it in the nicest way possible. Goodbye. This has been Dr. Peter Overbury.